Ay, 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 today's a bit of a dark and gloomy day. I'm sad. I'm sad. And the few people I've actually had the ability to talk to today are also quite sad. I think everyone's just a little bit speechless and it sucks. So if you're in that boat, if you're thinking, what in the heck just happened? I think we're all thinking the same thing. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. It feels like we got some dark days ahead, and trust me, there's going to be a lot to discuss, to focus on that. But right now, I want to focus on the positives, even though there might not be a whole lot. It does feel like Canadians did want change. When you look at the spread, the popular vote, I mean, Pierre Poilievre, was only trailing behind by 300,000 or 400,000 votes, which, yeah, that's a good amount. But in the grand scheme of things, it shows that Canada is really divided, where quite literally half of the country voted Liberal and just under half of the country voted Conservative. And so that goes to show that people do want change. Not as many people as we would have hoped, but people really do want change. And so that's a step in the right direction. Now, this is an uphill battle, and it does feel like we were at the crossroads of good and evil. And unfortunately, we hit the medium and we're heading towards evil. And there's going to be, again, a lot of time to talk about that. But one story I do want to share with you from this morning, and I've got the proof right here that I'm going to show you. I decided to go to the beach this morning. So got in my car, drove down to the beach, and I'm walking on the low tide, and I'm walking quite a ways out. On my way back, I see what looks like somebody who might be sleeping. Turns out that this woman was passed out. And just as I was approaching, there was an older couple that was also approaching from a different angle. And we both said, do you know her? It's like, no. Okay. Hey, ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay? On the beach, the ocean beach. Okay. And turns out that this woman, not to exploit the situation, but this woman was passed out from overdosing. Now, how do I know it's overdosing? Well, 45 minutes ago, this gentleman was just sitting, within eye shot of the area and saw that this woman got basically brought back with Narcan. So, yeah, there's that. And it got so bad and the person was so unresponsive that I actually had to call the police. Right there, you can see 7-minute phone call to 911, calling for an ambulance and describing the situation. So, yeah, it just, it's easy. It's a layup to say, hey, look, day one of Prime Minister Carney and already people are overdosing, right? But I think that there's a huge fracture in this country. And when it comes to safe supply and our lack of treatment in our healthcare system, it's devastating. And I unfortunately think that you're going to start to see more and more of those cases. I mean, when you look at the downtown cores of a whole bunch of different cities, right, or smaller communities, we're all thinking the same thing. I don't really know one place that is free and clear of homeless and free and clear of people addicted to drugs. It's everywhere across this country, and it's unfortunate that, putting other policies aside on that issue, half of the country voted to keep that going and exacerbate the harm that's been done to our people. So that sucks, and that's obviously not, last night wasn't the results that any of us wanted, and this morning was not something that I was really expecting to encounter, but here we are rolling with the punches. So anyways, out of the personal stories, let's get into the news. Taking a look at Doug Ford. Now, Doug Ford is under a lot of heat because he didn't really have anything nice to say about Pierre Poilievre's loss, and it feels like he might have actually been a contributing factor to the loss, given the fact that he kind of endorsed Mark Carney and never endorsed Pierre. So let's take a look at his reaction to the election.
Premier Doug Ford addressed the media this morning and said he is ready to work with anyone to confront the U.S. tariffs. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has more.
With congratulations out of the way, the Premier has a message for the Prime Minister.
It's not business as usual. That's not going to cut it. We have to make sure that we move fast, immediate, or if not, President Trump is going to eat our lunch.
Looking for collaboration on speeding up mining and other infrastructure and tearing down interprovincial trade barriers.
I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. We're going to work well together, and I encourage all parties to work together for the common good.
But Doug Ford has faced blowback from Conservatives for publicly criticizing the Pierre Poilievre campaign. His relationship with the leader, frosty. The morning after, Ford was asked if he had any regrets.
I'm the Premier of Ontario. I have to make sure that we focus on driving economic, the economy moving forward, economic prosperity.
But last night, former Ontario advisor turned Conservative MP Jamil Javani laid into the Premier, accusing him of being a Liberal hype man, calling his campaign comments sabotage.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about Ontario driving prosperity.
Ford wouldn't weigh in on whether he thinks Poilievre should step down, but insists the federal Conservative leader's gig is not on his radar.
I'm focused on Ontario. I love my job. I have the best job in the entire world.
At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Jesus. I mean, Doug Ford really is one of a kind in all the wrong ways. He's a disgrace to Conservatives across the country. He's an absolute disgrace, and it sucks that he kind of betrayed the party, even though it's a provincial Conservative and this was a federal election. It really feels like there was a mass amount of betrayal from Doug Ford. Now let's take a look here at David Eby, who's asked if he's going to replace Jagmeet Singh at the federal level.
Specifically on working with Prime Minister Carney on the sovereignty issue, what does that mean for British Columbia in terms of what you want to see from him? And now that the job is open as NDP leader, do you have any interest in the federal job?
I'll take the second one first. No, I don't have any interest in that job. I do hope that someone steps up to run for the federal party that has a commitment to bringing Canadians together, a commitment to rebuilding the party, and ensuring that the federal NDP can play an important role in the future of Canada. In terms of the Prime Minister, my call to him remains the same as it was before we knew who the Prime Minister would be. Didn't matter who was elected. Now is the time for Canadians to come together to ensure we're working together to do a couple of things. One is to get rid of the internal trade barriers. Prime Minister should call us together, all the premiers, sit at the table, ensure that we're trading across the country, that we're delivering services across the country as one country. It should be as easy for us to do business with Ontarians as it currently is to do business with people in Washington State. And so that's a critical priority. Another key piece is obviously supporting those industries that are already affected by this international trade war that the president has kicked off. In BC, it's the softwood lumber industry. In Ontario, it's the auto parts sector. Ensuring that workers are protected, that families are protected, and that we're working, hopefully, to sit down with the American administration to end this trade war as quickly as possible for the sake of people on both sides of the border.
Yeah, I don't know if this working as a one country thing is actually going to happen, but we're just going to have to wait and see how this does play out and see if Carney stays true to any of his promises. As a liberal, historically, they haven't really done a good job of that. I think the only promise that Trudeau really stayed true to was the legalization of Mary Jane. But other than that, again, we're just going to have to let time do its thing and see how this does play out. We also, in terms of how they resume and when they resume sitting in Parliament in the House of Commons and getting back to work, since they haven't really worked middle of December, I think in the next couple of weeks, you're going to have the deputy House leader, whoever on the Liberal side has that job, is going to release the House of Commons and question period schedule. So more to follow on that, but I mean, technically it is kind of possible because they are supposed to go back to Parliament within 4 or 5 weeks after an election. It kind of is possible for them to drag that out Then it's summer break, and then we might not see them resume back until like end of September. So that is one possibility. I don't know. He might have to go back to Parliament for a short amount of time. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But I would put a pin in the idea that September is when they get back to doing their job federally. Kind of crazy. Now, that does leave a lot of time for the Conservatives to figure out what they are going to do, whether that means replacing Pierre and appointing, doing a Conservative leadership race, or Pierre Poilievre running a by-election to try and quickly get a seat before they resume. But I don't suspect the House or Parliament or our federal politicians are going to be getting back to work anytime soon. But I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. And then finally, we're going to take a look here at Danielle Smith, what she has to say about Liberal minority government.
And new this morning, Premier Danielle Smith is congratulating Mark Carney on his election victory. Minutes ago, Smith released a statement to media inviting the Prime Minister to work with the provincial government to reset the relationship between Alberta and Ottawa with meaningful action. Smith says she cannot permit the status quo to continue and that Albertans will no longer tolerate having industries threatened and resources landlocked by Ottawa. Smith also thanked Pierre Poilievre, saying he advocated for Alberta's interests over the last decade. The provincial government will hold a special caucus meeting on Friday. Smith says she will have more to say after that meeting.
Okay, so I mean, every premier is kind of doing their due diligence and, just saying congratulations to the Prime Minister. Now let's see what's actually happening within the ridings and what Rosemary Barton has to say from CBC's angle. Here we go.
And so we want to explain to you what we're watching for, what we're looking at, and what we're waiting to see in terms of getting to a final call and a real conclusion for this election. Let me first start by showing you all the ridings where the Liberals are currently second and could flip. And this is important because this is the path to a majority, that 172. So they need 4 of the following 11 ridings to do that. Let's take you through them. Terrebonne in Quebec is the closest race in the country right now. Look at that. The Bloc leading the Liberals by just 28 votes. There are 2 polls still left to report, which we understand represent special ballots. It could be as much as 880 votes. So a 28 vote margin, 880 votes to come. We're not calling that one yet. Nunavut, there is a 54 vote margin, and there are at least 647 votes to come. Same thing there. We cannot project a winner, and that one could flip as well to the Liberals. Vancouver Kingsway is where the NDP's Don Davies is leading the Liberals by 308 votes. He is the incumbent there. But there were about 3,500 special ballots in that riding in total. 1 of 2 special polls have reported, but we don't know how many votes was in it. That one, too. We cannot project a winner yet.
The Liberals, I mean, their ticket to this victory was really hinged on the fact that they just poached all of the NDP seats and a few block seats. Like the NDP, I believe, has officially lost their official party status. I believe that was fully confirmed yesterday. It's a little fuzzy in my brain because I did, pop off the top of the vodka and take a swig out of it. But I'm pretty sure that Jagmeet is gone. He did his concession speech, and they've lost their official party status, which, I mean, yay! I am genuinely happy about that. But the Liberals just won, man, just flat out, right? I don't like to say it. It still hurts, but that is the truth. This whole Trump rhetoric, the fear mongering around America and Trump and everything, it just won over Liberal voters. It sucks.
Windsor, Tecumseh, Lakeshore, where the Liberals are trailing by 359 votes. Once again, 1 of the 2 special ballot polls reported. We are expecting at least 3,500 special ballots here. So it's not that these races are too close to call. It's that there is an enormous amount of vote that is yet to be counted. Take a look at another one here. Miramichi, Grand Lake, a margin of just under 400 votes. This one bounced around all last night. And again, 1 of the 2 special ballot polls reported. Again, 2,700 special ballots cast. So you could actually have
potentially a Liberal majority. I know it's the minority's been called, but once they settle all of these special ballots, it could flip a lot of ridings if it is in favor of the Liberals. And we could have a Liberal majority. I'm kind of speechless.
And see there, again, we cannot project a winner there yet, but that could flip to the Liberals, could put them on the path to that majority. Take a look at this other one. Milton East, Halton Hills South. This is another one we tracked through the night last night. Former Ontario PC Cabinet Minister Parm Gill leading the Liberals by more than 500 votes. Again, same story again and again. One of the two special ballot polls reported could have 2,800 special ballots cast, so we expect a whole bunch more of those votes to be counted. Let's take a look at Shefford now in Quebec, a 651 vote margin for the Bloc. You might say, well, why can't you project a winner there? Well, the Liberals were in the lead for part of last night. Again, special ballot polls. Only one has reported 1,800 special ballots were cast, meaning this too could change.
Oh,
Cloverdale, Langley City.
goodness.
This is a large margin, 923
Yeah, that's
votes
unlikely to flip.
in the lead for the Conservatives. You might think, okay, why not that one? But listen, in this instance, neither of the special polls have reported, and we do know there are at least 5,500 votes in those polls. Again, this isn't about races that are too close to call. This is about races where those special polls, those special ballots are huge in number and have yet to come in. And that's what we are waiting for. That's what Elections Canada is doing right now. Kitchener South Hepsler, Conservatives leading the Liberals by a little more than 1,100 votes. Again, you would think that that was a big margin. Again, special polls reported 3,000 were cast. We are waiting for those. Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge in BC. Right now, Liberals trailing by 1,400 votes. But they were trailing by 2,500 votes last night, and there are 8 polls in that riding still to report. Could be advanced polls, could be special ballots, could be day of votes. And this is good to point out, the nearby Port Moody Coquitlam flipped to the Liberals because of advanced ballots. So again here, we are not comfortable making a projection because of all those votes still to come. Last one here. And I know it's a lot, but this is the story of where we are after last night and as we wait for more of these ballots to be counted today. This is the last one here. Hamilton East Stony Creek. The incumbent Liberal, Chad Collins, is trailing right now by 1,600 votes. 1,600 votes, is that right? Yeah. And at one point last night, Liberals were trailing by 3,000. They somehow have cut that in half. There are still 6 polls left to report, which includes at minimum 4,800 special ballots. So those are the ridings, the 11 ridings right now, where the Liberals are in second place. The Liberals need just 4 of these, just to flip 4 of these in order to get to that number of 172 so that we can project a majority government for them. If they do not get there, we're going to stay where we are to a minority government. But these are the tight races. These are the places that we need to watch over the next number of hours as those counts continue.
So this is a very real possibility. We could actually see the numbers as the dust starts to settle. We could see the numbers start to flip even more in Liberal favor, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Again, if you're feeling speechless, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're sad, come on in. Join the club. Join the sad club, man. Holy crap. Let's see what CTV here has to say about it. This is unbelievable. I'm just shocked. I don't believe it's anything that Pierre did or didn't do. I think he ran an incredible campaign. He was very hardworking, very relatable. Him and his wife did a phenomenal job. I think a lot of this boils down to the Liberal support system. Seems obviously very strong in Canada. Half the country is Liberal. And the fact that all these tariffs and the Trump rhetoric, right? The anti-Trump, the fear of Trump, all that stuff, it still lives very much in Canada. It just goes to show.
All right, let's bring in Susan Smith. Susan is a Liberal strategist. She is the co-founder of Blue Sky Strategy Group. Susan, you must be happy today. 4 seats short of a majority, but a win is a win.
I'm happy for Canada today, Todd. And yes, the Liberals won. We were 27 points down in December and January, and to come back and even to get a minority government is a huge accomplishment, and is totally reflective, I think, of the mood of Canadians, in the sense that they were seeking stability. They wanted an adult in the room, and they liked what Mark Carney had on offer. A big night, though, late night. I, like many people, were up to the wee hours of the morning. I was there for Mr. Carney's speech last night, and I was struck when he talked about humility and ambition and unity. Those were the three key messages of his speech, and he talked about build, baby, build, in terms of the country, the homes, the energy infrastructure, the kind of economy that he wants. So I think Canadians will be tired of it this morning, but I think they can be hopeful that we have some stability in the country for the next few years.
With another minority government for the Liberals, because as you know, that was the case in 2019, 2021, how big of a mandate do you think he actually has, though?
I think he has a very strong mandate, actually. When you do the math, Todd, just on the seats as they stand this minute, with 168 Liberal seats plus 7 NDP plus 1 Green, that takes you over the majority, even without the Green. And if the Bloc seek to cooperate with the Liberals to get things done, the shenanigans that closed out Parliament, where everything was stalled, Canadians don't want that. That's not good for the country. And I even heard Mr. Poilievre in his concession speech last night say that he is going to work for what's best for Canada when it comes to trade. So hopefully Parliament will function with the cooperation of all the opposition parties, as Parliament should. That is, debates, opposition, votes, legislation. People things will move, things will get done. And the first thing that'll be cut is the carbon tax and the legislation. The legislation will come through on that when Mr. Carney comes back at the end of May with the House of Commons.
Little
politically speaking,
oh,
let
they're
me
saying
ask you
May.
this.
So they're saying May comes back. Okay, well, again, there you go. We're starting to get answers as things unravel.
So why is it in the interest of Pierre Poilievre to work with another Liberal minority government when he increased his seat count, increased his voter turnout as well? Susan, your read on that, because as he was giving his speech, sounded a little bit like a victory speech, or perhaps a speech saying until next time.
I want to congratulate Mr. Poilievre on his campaign. I want to congratulate Mr. Singh on his campaign. They both lost their seats. Mr. Singh immediately resigned. Mr. Poilievre will have to test the will of his caucus. He'll have to test the Reform Act, which the Conservatives usually adopt, which means 20% of the caucus at any time can say, we would like to have a vote on the leadership. I don't think that's what Mr. Poilievre seeks to do, and I don't think anyone in the country wants to plunge back into an election right now. Mr. Carney had a win. The Liberals have seats everywhere across the country. We picked up a seat in Saskatchewan, in Manitoba, new seats, different seats in Alberta, seats in BC, in places we didn't have them before, in Atlantic Canada. So Mr. Carney has a strong mandate to do what's right for Canada. And I think Mr. Poilievre, as he seeks to regroup after what happened to himself in his own seat and to the party, he has to regroup and figure out what's best for Canada. And having a multi-front battle is probably not best right after a big federal election. How
do you go about passing legislation in a minority situation? You've got 7 NDPs there, and again, the numbers could change, but if that's what it ends up looking like, give or take, what are you looking at here, Susan? What do you think?
It's all math, Todd.
Yes.
You just need a majority of the votes. So with the Liberal seats, if they stay at 168 plus 7 NDP seats, that's 175. A majority is 172. If a couple of Bloc leaders support, all they need is 4 to get to that majority for any kind of legislation. That's how things will pass. Mr. Blanchet said today in his press conference that he will cooperate with the government of Canada. He will always advance the interests of Quebec. That's what he does. But I think Quebecers very resoundingly also said that they believe they are stronger within a strong Canada as we deal with the #1 issue, and that is Mr. Trump. And guess who isn't going anywhere for nearly the next 4 years, and that's Donald Trump. And we need to make sure the Canadian economy is sound and ready and pivots and ready to handle that. And that's what Mr. Carney presented to Canadians, and that's what Canadians said, yes, please, sir.
Quickly before we go, I'm almost out of time. In Alberta, 64%, give or take, of people voted for the Conservatives. In neighboring Saskatchewan, the number was even a little bit higher, about 65%, Susan. What's going to happen now? In terms of Western alienation, here we go again. Another Liberal Party, another Liberal Prime Minister. You can understand there's a lot of anger and frustration in those parts of the country today by those voters.
Well, I think a lot of your listeners have remember Stephen Harper as the Prime Minister for 10 years. So that's the neat thing about democracy in this country is people get a chance to choose. And anybody can put their name forward to be a candidate. People can step forward and try to be a leader. And that's the way it works in this country. Mr. Carney was very clear. He will govern for all Canadians. He will invoke humility, ambition, unity, kindness, growing the country, growing the economy for all Canadians. He spoke in French. He addressed Quebecers. He talked to Westerners. He's an Albertan himself. He's from also from the north, from where he was born. I expect that. That's what prime ministers do. And that's what I found his speech quite inspirational last night. And I encourage people to have a listen to it. It's what we need to just settle the temperature in the country, focus on what matters, which is the economy, affordability, getting houses built for people, making sure that people who are impacted by the tariffs are supported. That's what he committed to doing with programs for workers and businesses. That's what we need to be focused on. And I think people have had enough of anger and division. And I suspect that a very, very high percentage of those Albertans are very proud of their Canadian passports and fundamentally believe in Canada.
Susan Smith with her take, Liberal strategist.
Yeah, unfortunately, the reality of the situation, to quote a Liberal, is the fact that Liberals are going to be able to kind of do whatever they want. They've got the support from the Bloc for the next year or so. That's been admitted by Yves-François Poutine. There's probably still going to be a lingering coalition with the NDP. And Canada needs to unite now because we are under economic threat from America and tariffs. And so you're going to start to see this unity that happens within parties, within Parliament, like we've never really seen before, because we're kind of forced to do it. And they also control the Senate, right? 101 senators out of 105 or something like that are Liberals. So times are changing. And sorry if I'm lacking energy today. I'm feeling deflated, man. Like a lot of people. I don't know if you're feeling deflated, but why don't we end the stream by letting each other know down in the comments. Are you kind of sad about it? And if you are, that's all right. Time will heal. And we've built an incredible community on YouTube, not just this channel, but others alike. And I think we're just getting started. So we'll end it on that note. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.